6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you listening?
Ricky J. Sports.
You guys all know that in EA Sports UFC 3, there's various ways to take your opponent down to the mat. If it's the standard double or single leg takedowns, or how about grabbing your opponent's leg and then driving your hips down to get them down to the mat. And we can't forget, remember when they added this? The good old cage takedown attempts. So there's various ways to take your opponent down. Oh yeah, don't forget the good old slow dance action, the clinch action, where you could utilize submission attempts or just simple takedowns to get your opponent down to the mat. But I'm going to take you back in time because EA Sports UFC 3 doesn't have what Sega Dreamcast UFC had back in 2000. Remember August of 2000? Where were you back then? And what they had back then that they don't have now, surprisingly, is the ability to pull guard. And I remember I used to love creating Hoist Gracie in the game and then always having that pull guard technique to utilize when I was dealing with an opponent with superior striking. And it wasn't a technique that was unstoppable. You know, some players knew how to stop it and, you know, it didn't work all the time, but it was always good to have in my back pocket that when I tried to feel out my opponent on the feet and when I knew I was outclassed, I was able to pull guard. And pulling guard is almost like the last resort when you're in a battle, when you're losing, when you're getting brutalized on the feet. And in this example right here, I'm using Nick Diaz, and in the beginning of this fight, my opponent was tearing me up, and I couldn't get him down. So I had to utilize my striking game, and in this situation, I ended up getting lucky. I would have loved to use my pull guard technique if they had it in the game, but I had to roll the dice, take a chance, and in this situation, I came out on top with an unbelievable knockout. But now in this example, I'm using Nick Diaz again, and I'm facing just one of the most dynamic strikers in this game, and it's Roadrunner. And oh my gosh, Nick Diaz is not really the best at getting takedowns, but Roadrunner is one of the best at denying takedowns. And it got to the point where I was trying everything, guys. I'll be honest with you, I was trying everything, and I couldn't get him down. In a situation like this, I could have easily used the pull guard technique just to slow him down and maybe slap on a submission. And yeah, you're probably looking saying, what a crazy KO. He really got me with this unbelievable KO. But if they had pull guard, so if EA Sports UFC 4 comes out and they had the pull guard technique and I had to face Roadrunner again, I would utilize that pull guard technique, get into my guard, and then try to slap on a submission. And this is a fight that I had with him earlier. He got the redemption on me, but I'm getting redemption on him in this video. And the ability to get the fight to the mat really changed the game, because in this example, Roadrunner, his stand-up is so amazing. So when I face him, the only way for me to beat him is to get the fight to the mat. So I'm hoping in EA Sports UFC 4, they add the pull guard technique. And you're probably thinking, you know what, Ricky, is it really that big of a deal to have the pull guard technique? I think it is, man, because when you're dealing with guys that are just superior on the feet, it's always, like I said, it's always a nice little element to have. If you feel like you're getting, you know, out-pieced on the feet, you could always pull guard and get the fight to the mat. And there's a lot of guys out there online that are really good on the feet, but they don't really take the time to learn the ground game. And you could really test your opponent really well by getting that fight to the mat and seeing if they got what it takes, if they can channel their inner Jacare and have a good ground performance. And some guys simply don't have it. And with the pull guard technique, you're able to utilize that. So just to add another key element that I want on my wish list for EA Sports UFC 4, it's that ability to pull guard, man. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this, if you think it's a big deal to have. In my opinion, you know, not every fighter that's good on the ground is good at takedowns. You know what I mean? Like, say for example, Nick Diaz, you know, Hoist Gracie, Damian Maia, just to name a few, they're not the best at going for takedowns, but they should be in EA Sports UFC 4 the best at pulling guard. You know, even Fabricio Verdum, guys that are really good jiu-jitsu players, the Nogueira brothers, they should add that where, you know, you're able to get that pull guard technique pretty easily. And I think it would change the game. I think it would make things a little bit more interesting when it comes to having a jiu-jitsu player, you know, in your controls, you know what I mean? And I think more guys would use those guys that really aren't the best on the feet, but are amazing on the mat. So let me know your thoughts. Keep it locked here at Ricky J, man, at Ricky J Sports for more EA Sports UFC 4 wish list and EA Sports UFC 3 improvement. That's what I'm getting at, man, if you know what I'm saying. But anyhow, I'm going to take off. Have a great day. Slap this video with a like, and I'll catch you in the next one, baby. This is Ricky J, baby, from Ricky J Sports, and you are awesome.